I am trying to warn you guys and prepare you guys for how dramatic the change is going to be in your financial system from 2026 to 2030. I warned you from 2020 to 2025, and what I said came true. I told you that banks were going to start being able to custody your crypto by 2025. We got the Genius Act, Stablecoin Clarity. They got the Clarity Act in motion, which should be approved within the first quarter of 2026, which gives clear rules of the road for banks to work in crypto. Morgan Stanley, one of the largest US banks, just applied for a Bitcoin ETF. The fact is, billionaires use astrology. Listen to me. Millionaires use charts. JP Morgan, I'm paraphrasing. Now, why would he say that? Listen to me. Millionaires are emotional. Retail investors are emotional. Your emotions are their profits. There's a winner, there's a loser. There's just a massive economic cycle happening right now. There's an infrastructural change in your financial system. The very banks, they all told you it was a fraud. Bank of America on Monday is now allowing their asset managers to recommend 1% to 4% into Bitcoin. JP Morgan is eventually going to allow, they've said this, allow you to leverage your Bitcoin. Fidelity, go on your Fidelity website, guys. If you have Fidelity, log in. It has Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and Solana. So if crypto's going to zero, why would the number one 401k holder in the world, in America, have Bitcoin, Litecoin, Solana, and Ethereum on their website that you can invest in? Yeah, they're going to put it on their website in something that's going to zero. You have to use logic. Get out of the hype. Get out of the hopium. Not everything's a conspiracy, guys. This is a dramatic shift in your financial system, and you have the opportunity to invest in the rails. Now, I'm only going to share with you what I'm doing. My research, I'm encouraging you and empowering you to do your own. So just think logically. What has happened over the last 200 years in markets? There's been over 30 major market collapses, and there'll be more. That's your number one hit. Always take profits. It's not time in the markets. It's not timing the markets. It's time in the markets. You need patience. Okay, next. Just like every new innovation or market cycle, there's always the big three. Happened in the auto boom, the tech boom, and now it's going to happen in the blockchain cryptocurrency. So I'm deciding from my own logic which ones are going to survive this. I'm going to share with my portfolio, and I'm going to consolidate. My maturity has changed and wisdom's changed from 2020 to 2025. You just watch my videos from the back end and follow along. I got out of the hype, I got out of the hopium, I built structures, systems, and processes inside and outside of crypto. My zone of competency is crypto, that's why I have a ton of crypto. If yours is real estate, cool. My top holdings are XRP, Bitcoin, WLFI, which just applied to be a bank. I was trying to tell people what was coming. They applied to be a bank yesterday. That's Trump's family's creation and Steve Witkoff and his boys' creation. World Liberty Financial, a world bank. We're going to be on an even playing field monetarily before it. That was just a logic and a gut decision that is probably going to do very well for me. It's my number 3 holding now. I have Solana number 4, Layer 1. I got HBAR and VeChain. Those are my top 7. I'm going to be consolidating out of most cryptos into my top 3 and top 4, which would be XRP, Bitcoin, Solana, and WFI. I'm not chasing new cryptos. Now what's going to happen? Everything's going to go green, and all these influencers are going to come out with the next best token, the next best thing. It's not going to work, I promise you. You're the exit liquidity, remember that. Stick with the ones that are going to survive regulation. Stick with the ones that, just like every boom and bust cycle, there's always the top 3. Which ones do you think are going to survive? So if you don't like Bitcoin and you think it's a fraud, don't get into Bitcoin. If you think XRP is a shitcoin, then stay away from it. I understand it. I believe in it. Here's what I want to teach you. I don't care what asset you invest in. Here's what I care about, is that you understand why I created Capel DR. It's trademark. We're getting the number, I think, tomorrow. I built a system that actually manages through economic cycles because I saw a pattern that we're not taught. You're not taught how inflation erodes your buying power. You're chasing the next best crypto. It's always the next best hype. You're always going to lose because you didn't learn how the system works. The elites move their money based on economic cycles. Billionaires use astrology, millionaires use charts. So he's talking about cycles. 50-year Shemitah, 7-year Jubilee. It's in the Bible, guys. In Proverbs, the ant shows you how cycles work. You're not going to beat nature. You're not going to beat what God created. So you may as well use it to your advantage to help your family become free financially, spiritually, and physically. So the Bible has cycles. Markets have cycles. You have cycles. Nature has cycles. Why do you think you're going to beat it this time? You're not. So C is cash flow. You need cash flow. You go to work, you trade time for money, the indoctrination system, you get paid income, which is debt. Your income is debt. There's no real value to your dollar. other than your perceived value, and it's deflating every single day. You've lost 96 to 97% of your purchasing power since the Federal Reserve was created. So if you get paid in someone else's debt, then why would you hold debt? Because what the bank does is they hold your debt, you transmute it and make interest. They make money in three ways: interest income, fee income, and capital markets income. So they put your debt into the markets and they make money off it and pay you pennies on the dollar. So why don't you become the bank? So when you get paid, you should be investing first and spending last, but we spend first and we invest what's left over. That's why only 10% of the population owns most of the market. And Trump's bragging about how great the markets are, but only 10% of the population is in the market. The middle class are in the market. They can't pay for groceries. So all that's going to happen over the next 3 years, it's going to look like we're getting wealthier because the middle class is going to monetize more debt. They're not going to become wealthier. They're going to buy more stuff, and they're going to be poor in 3 years because they're going to have more debt. The wealthy is going to get extremely wealthy, and the next president's going to run on hyperinflation. Middle class really didn't grow, and the wealthy got wealthier. Same thing every single time. Roman days, they clipped our coins, guys. Nothing new under the sun. So when you understand that, you take the emotion out of it. It's not always a conspiracy. NESARA GESARA has not wiped out our debt. Keep moving the line. Nobody's been arrested. At what point are you going to stop believing the distraction? They're all distractions, guys. It's all to keep you distracted from what's happening. Does that make sense? And, you know, I love Jesus. And Jesus, they try to mock him. Who do we give our taxes to? And he's, who's on the coin? Caesar! Give your taxes to Caesar. Give to God what is his. Give to me what is mine. It's just logic, family. So when you make some cash flow, put some in assets, you need to decide what assets beat inflation. That's it. At about every 2 to 3% inflation, you lose about half of your value of your dollar every about 35 years. So if you work for 40 years, you've lost half of your purchasing power. You're in a 401k that you get taxed on the back end. You got fucked at the back end of your retirement. As the elites are putting their money into gold, into silver, into real estate, you got to take some sovereignty of your wealth. Stop just trusting a 401k manager, an asset manager, and letting some other man figure out if you're going to retire. Take control of your money. That's why they hate decentralization. I can actually go on Robinhood and Coinbase, and I can Fidelity, and I can do all my own shit now. Why don't you learn how to do it? It's your money. Blind leadership is dead. So you take the cash flow and you put it into assets. I use assets. My top two are fixed supply assets, XRP and Bitcoin, that have crushed inflation. Does that make sense? So I take my dollar, I put it into something that grows. You can pick what asset you believe is going to grow. When the asset grows, I pull profits. Except Bitcoin, that goes into leverage, capital DR. I pull profits. And I put profits into life insurance. And that creates a family bank. It's protected. Nobody can touch it. I have permanent life insurance. I can borrow against it tax-free. Tax code 77028. They need money in them. They're not magic money machines. They're not retirement policies. They're cash value life insurance. I can borrow at low leverage at 5% to do what? To buy more cash flow, to buy more assets. That's how winning is done, guys. It's not your fault. You were indoctrinated at a deep level to go to school, have 2 15-minute breaks and a lunch, and bring your homework home. Sounds like corporate America. You got graded off a grade point average, and you get graded off a credit score. We're literally taught to be a worker. We're literally taught to be a monetary debt slave. The middle class was engineered, guys. Greatest trick played on humanity. Because now you're trapped. You can't get out of it unless you do capital DR. Unless you get out of the hole. Get on the right side of interest. You're earning it or paying it. That's it. There's no money in the system. Take the emotion out of it. Take the conspiracies out of it. This is nothing new under the sun. It's been 200 years of markets. The first one was tulips. There's been over 30 major market collapses, and there'll be more. When you take the emotion out of it and the lack, the conspiracy and all that shit, you'll actually see clearly. It's you. It's your discipline, your consistency, you getting your shit together, and nobody's coming to save you. No government, no crypto, no price prediction. It's you. So I hope this information reaches your heart well. If you made it this far, comment warrior. I love you guys. You know, my